Welcome back to another episode of the Business Corner. I'm Teresa Lundy, your host, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Chellie Cameron, the President and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce of Greater Philadelphia. Thank you so much, Chellie, for joining us today.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Well, tell us a little bit about you and your work with the Chamber of Commerce of Greater Philadelphia.
Really good question. I have been with the Chamber of Commerce for 3 years, and I am new to chambers.
Okay.
I spent almost 30 years in aviation, and so it was a real pivot for me to go to the chamber. But when I thought about what it meant to me and to the community to run an airport, which is what I did before I came to the chamber, I thought about how I got up every morning because I like to connect people and help business happen. And when you think about aviation, it's taking people all around the world, connecting them with families, but it's also about the cargo that you put in the belly of an aircraft and helping business to really thrive. And when I thought about the chamber, at first I was like, I don't know if I want to go to the chamber. But when I really started to think about it, it was really the same thing. And so I've been with the chamber about 3 years, and I'm absolutely loving it.
Well, we absolutely love having you as I think my second year as a chamber board member. I have been, I've had an opportunity to be on various boards and committees. So I have seen your leadership in action. I have also seen some of your leadership style and how people are able to feel like they are a real partner with the Chamber of Commerce. And I would love for you to talk about your leadership style and how it's contributed to your 3 years of success here.
Yeah. And by the way, thank you for your board service.
Thank you.
We ask a lot of our volunteer leaders, and you've really been stepping up over the years, so thank you for everything that you've done for us. So leadership style, that's a tough question. I don't know if you know this, but I started my career in the military. I was an officer in the Air Force for 7 years. I needed ROTC to be able to afford to go to college, and then served on active duty. And what they do in the military is they teach you how to be a leader first and a technician second. So I was a finance officer in the Air Force, but they always send you to leadership training and want you to hone that skill first. And so when I think about leadership, I think about accountability to the governance structure of my organization, but my accountability to the members of the chamber. I think about accountability to my employees, because if you're not taking care of your employees and you're not accountable to them and they don't know that you're ready to stand up for what is right for the organization, it doesn't work.
Right.
I also think about leadership in terms of providing strong direction and clear direction and being transparent. Not all leaders are transparent in how they make decisions and where they're going with the organization. I think that's a really important piece of it.
I love that. And, it's interesting, like the back of the house for any chamber, membership is so important. One thing that you've done that I love is you really do engage your board members. And, from, asking us in a room full of 100 folks, who can do this, or sending us the follow-ups, I think it really shows, one, that you care, two, that you have a very broad but very scenic view of how it should be. And it's just a really good feel. So you're doing a great job as
thank you.
relates to.
Running an association is hard because, think about trying to get alignment among thousands of members on an advocacy position.
Right.
It's really tough.
Right.
But if we don't do that right and we don't get good engagement with folks, why are we here?
Agreed.
So,
Agreed.
Thank you.
So what are some of the initiatives that the chamber is working on?
Yep.
I think that is also going to be a very important segue to see how others can support.
Yep. So we set a very bold vision. So one of the first things that I felt very strongly about doing at the chamber was doing a strategic plan that had a very bold vision. And so our vision is to be a global leader global destination for business and a leader in inclusive growth. And I break those two things apart. One, I think we need to be aspirational and talk about bringing the world to Philadelphia. We don't just want to be the best in the United States. We want to be the best in the world. And so we should be casting a wide net. And the second part of that vision that I think is a big deal is we want to do it inclusively. And so we have 3 pillars of our work. We amplify the stories of business. We need to do a better job of talking about all the positive things that business does for their community. We advocate for a better business environment. And yes, it's those traditional things that you would think of like taxes, but it's way more than that. It's all about regulatory reform and making sure that it's easy to get a permit, as an example. So we serve businesses of all sizes, and all of those kinds of issues are important. And then our third pillar is to grow. We want to attract businesses here. We want to grow the ones who are already here and provide a good environment to do that. And so, a couple examples of things that we're doing to advance that work. We are right now working on behalf of SEPTA and trying to get more funding for transit and transportation. Without a really strong transportation system, we won't be able to do things like host the FIFA matches in 2026. So having a strong SEPTA operating system, having money for roads and bridges, it's a big deal. So we advocate for solutions in those areas. One of the other things that we're working on is upward economic mobility. There was a study that came out last year that I think should embarrass anybody who lives in this region. And it said that we are 50th out of 50 major metro areas in terms of upward economic mobility.
Oh, wow.
And what that means is that a kid born today in our region has a worse chance of doing better than their parents than in any other metro area in the country.
So why do you think that is?
I think there are a lot of underlying reasons, but as the chamber looked at that, and there are a lot of other organizations that are leaning into this work, but we felt that there were a couple areas where we could make a difference. One was by bringing business here so that we could grow the overall economic pie, right? Help to have a better positive economic impact on the region. The second is to grow jobs, but not just any job, to grow opportunity jobs. What that means is yes, it's great to have jobs that pay $15 an hour. We really need jobs that pay $30, $40, $50, $60 an hour so that people can see that they can do better. They also have to be jobs that have upward promotional opportunities. And so looking at building sectors and industries that can help produce those jobs is where I think the chamber can really make a difference.
So I know part of that strategic plan is, thinking about the years ahead. So what does the 3 to 5 year plan look like in terms of like goals and impact for the chamber that you see fit?
Yep. So I'll just hit a couple things. In the Amplify pillar, we are doing a rebranding exercise. I think that all organizations over time morph and evolve, and I think people know about the chamber, but they don't always connect the dots that Select Greater Philadelphia or the CEO Council for Growth or the Young Professionals Council are part of the chamber. And we want to make sure that our branding is clear. So that's one pretty exciting project.
It is.
At least for me.
It's exciting for me. I'm in that same field. Yes.
I was going to say. The second thing is again, really trying to work on our advocacy and doing it in different ways. Yes, we've always worked on policy, but how do you do that at a grassroots level where you're understanding what constituents need, what employees of companies need, and what companies need, and put together your advocacy in that way? So tell the stories in a different way. So I'll give you the example of SEPTA. We went out to the train platforms and we did videos of people who rode the train and had them talk about the impact of SEPTA on their lives. And so that's something that we want to continue and grow. And then the last area, I talked about the upward economic mobility work, but there are 3 sectors that were identified that we want to really expand and try to grow. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about 2026 for just
Please
a second?
Please do.
Okay. So we are getting ready to welcome the world in Philadelphia. I couldn't be more excited. Did you go to any of the FIFA matches this summer?
I did. And when I tell you the experience is like no other.
Oh my God! Isn't it amazing?
It is amazing.
Who played when you went? Do you remember?
So forgive me for not being a soccer fan. All I know is they were wearing blue and yellow, so they were a good team, but not sure what the name was. But when I tell you the feel of energy, excitement, like obviously I'm a football fan, but when you start seeing soccer, it's a whole nother ball game.
So I went on the 4th of July.
Okay.
With my husband, and it was a beautiful 4th. It wasn't one of those sweaty, icky days.
Yeah.
And we went, and it was a Brazilian team. And I'm sorry, I'm like you. I'm not going to remember the name of the club, but they were playing Chelsea, and the Brazilians were amazing. They brought drums. Yeah. They had songs.
Absolutely.
They weren't quiet the entire match. It was so much fun.
It was an amazing field, and I said, okay, Philly, let's.
So we need to get ready for that,
we gotta
right?
Get ready.
And I think by being on the world stage for that, that there are a lot of folks who are going to be looking at us, and they're going to see how we handle the FIFA matches, but they're going to learn and see things about the city that they may not have known before. Yeah. And I think it is incumbent on us and the chamber to really make sure that we are highlighting and spotlighting the amazing things about Philadelphia. A specific area that we're going to lean into, I talked about the business attraction work that we do. We're going to try and bring in some site selectors and brokers who try to bring companies into new cities and feature Philadelphia on the stage during that moment, so they can see how we come together and pull off big events, but how we're also a city of small neighborhoods and really amazing people.
So I think that's incredible. I think bringing them in block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, and letting them see what Philly is all about. I think that takes me into my next question.
What's your favorite Philly neighborhood?
North Philadelphia, actually. So North Philadelphia is actually where I'm from. I also grew up in Montgomery County, so I got the best of both worlds.
Yep.
But North Philadelphia really has that it factor for me, and I think there's a lot. You have North Broad, right? Another business attraction full of stores, corridors, but it's also the way the connectivity is to other neighborhoods and blocks. It gives you the feel for, we now call it Brewery Town, right?
Yep.
Which is still a part of North Philly, but we all have these different neighborhoods that show the different lights of what Philly is all about. So what I did want to ask you is about the advice that you would give to, small businesses, leaders that is looking to, one, maybe be a part of some of the nuance of things that Philadelphia has to offer, but maybe they want to be a part of the chamber and be a member and want to show up and support. What advice would you give small businesses?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, if you're going to be part of the conversation, if you're going to be relevant, you need to be in the room.
Yeah.
And I would say to any business, and look, there are multiple chambers in this region. We're one of the bigger ones, but there are also, we have the African American Chamber, we have the Northeast Philadelphia Chamber, there are tons of chambers. Find your peers and be in the room and start to understand what business is doing and start to understand what others are working on and need, and then follow your passion where you think you'll be able to make the biggest difference. But if you're not in the room, you're not going to know. I don't know that I trust always the traditional media to tell those good stories. I think they do an okay job, but I think you need to really understand at a deeper level what kind of impact we can have on the community, and I truly believe we can have a collective impact that is greater than just the individual pieces. But you've got to be in the room and understand what's going on.
Chellie, thank you so much for your impact, your strength, and of course your vision to leading the chamber into the next 3, 5, maybe 10 years.
The chamber just renewed my contract for 3 years,
okay,
I'll promise for 3.
Okay.
But listen, right back at you.
Yeah, thank you. We just celebrated 10 years.
I know,
and
I saw that.
Thank you, and we are looking forward to our continued partnership to help and build a better, safer, and stronger region.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for what you do for the chamber.
Thank you.